There was a time where youth sporting events were a fun yet intense atmosphere that had a competitive vibe, but the focus remained on the kids. According to Tremblay, it has been widely documented and reported that parental rage and misconduct in youth sports has become commonplace. As an athletic administrator, I must do everything in my power to provide an environment safe for our student athletes and all stakeholders involved. Therefore, this presentation is centered around you as parents, who are our student athletes and athletic department's biggest supporters. During this presentation, we will discuss our athletic program's philosophy, what is good sportsmanship, sporting behavior and expectation of you as parents, what will be consequences of such wrongful acts, and then how we as athletic administrator and parents can be proactive in eliminating these types of behaviors. But before we continue in this presentation, let's take a look at this video.
Pico Rivera, California. Parents and students gather for a hard-hitting game of high school football. The action on the field is intense. But after a little unnecessary roughness, it's the parents who lose control, storming the sidelines for a brutal brawl. Two dads from the rival teams wrestle in the dirt, and everyone wants a piece of the action. In his official red jacket, the league president tries to break it up, but the assailants aren't having it. With one punch, the man is knocked out cold. So the fighters turn their attention to another victim. The dad in the blue jersey is Desi Tubbs. His bout began with a mother from the other team.
They came over looking for number 27's parent. Well, number 27 was my son. I really didn't believe that it was a hostile, encounter.
Desi was knocked from the stands by the woman's husband.
One guy hit me across the face from behind. I was kicked. I was stomped. There was nothing I could do to help myself. I fought for my life at that time.
Desi's wife in blue tries to run interference, but the thugs continue their callous assault.
They were punching any and everybody. There were women being punched, old people, little kids. I mean, it was the most cowardly act I'd ever seen.
Kids fear for the safety of their parents.
These are children out here. These are kids. You don't do that.
Desi walks away with a few bruises and a concussion. The laid-out official, a headache. But their attackers go off to face justice.
Thank God for the gentleman that videotaped it.
And the parents who started with Desi, they had the wrong man.
My son wasn't even on the field at the time. I don't want to set that example for my kids, and I don't want them to act that way.
That video is a harsh reminder of reality, and this is where we can begin to change those standards. Our athletic philosophy is simple, and here is a condensed version of what our priorities should be. Interscholastic athletics are a vital part of a student's educational development. Athletic programs provide opportunities for a lifetime, which include personal values and strong work ethic. Athletics and academics go hand in hand, which creates a powerful combination on the path to success. As parents, we have a duty to provide and protect our children. I get that because I myself am a parent. But we also have a duty to instruct and direct our children on how to become young men and women. And in that previous video, those coaches and parents failed to fulfill those duties. Sportsmanship seems almost non-existent, but it's time we gain control again of what is truly important. A high school's goal should be to provide a positive environment for student athletes to participate in interscholastic athletics. A parent's job should be to assist the athletic department by supporting these goals through a parent code of conduct agreement, and we'll get to that later in the presentation. There are different types of parents according to Holt: authoritative parents and permissive parents. Authoritative parents set up expectations for their children's behavior in sport. They are strict, very involved, and dedicated to their child's success. And permissive parents who are lenient and hope that their child would learn through their sporting experiences. Authoritative parents are usually parents who continue to push their student athletes to be the best by winning at all costs. When these types of parents feel their student athlete is not receiving enough playing time, don't like the coach's style of coaching, don't agree with an official's call, or another parent's comments, major issues begin to erupt. So what type of parent are you? Authoritative parents can become unruly, irate, pushy, living vicariously through their child. And most parents won't admit this fault particularly, but we see it more than we should. This is a parent who wants nothing but the best for their son or daughter, as any parent would want of their child. They want them to be more successful than they ever were. And as a parent, we subconsciously relive what could have been through our children, and that is damaging more than we realize. Authoritative parents are too serious and forget about the fun aspect. Parents become overly involved. And I don't want this to be mistaken for not wanting parents to be involved, but to do so in a positive and supporting manner. And the overly critical, competing with other parents with the notion of my child is better than your child, these are parents who forget that this is not about them. I believe we need more permissive parents who are their child's and the program's biggest supporters. Parents who give encouragement. Parents who are positive role models. Parents who simply allow the coaches to coach. Parents who are realistic about their child's future in sports. And parents who are knowledgeable about the rules of the game. But these parents also remember who and what this is all about: a team. So what are the expectations for you as parents? Let me start by saying this. We hold these mandatory preseason meetings to continue to best educate our student athletes and parents about what you all can expect from us as administrators and coaches, but in turn what we expect from you. At the conclusion of the presentation, you will have a clear understanding of the parent's role in interscholastic athletics, and then you will be asked to sign a mandated parent-player code of conduct agreement that must be signed and returned to your student athlete's coach on the day of tryouts. If not received, signed, and dated by both player and parent/guardian, along with all other state-mandated documents, that child will not be permitted to try out and or participate with athletic programs. This Code of Conduct Agreement discusses points from our Student Athlete Handbook, our Ladder of Communication process, and consequences of negative actions or influences. Here are some key points from our Athletic Handbook that are important to discuss. Point 1. Be helpful. Don't coach them. It's tough not to, but it's tougher for the child to be flooded with advice and critical instruction. In other words, don't compete with the coach. If your child is receiving mixed messages from two different sources, it throws them off. Point number 2. Refer to the coach's philosophies regarding team requirements, discipline, playing time specifications, etc. Point 3. Do not contact the coach directly after a game. Everyone needs time to reflect, so give a coach 24 hours before voicing questions or concerns. Point number 4. Playing time, team strategy, play calling, and other student athletes are not appropriate issues to discuss with coaches. Which brings me to the ladder of communication. The first level of communication should be between the player and the coach. This insists that the student athlete do the talking first. This gives the student athlete responsibility in learning to communicate effectively, which honestly is one of the main components of educating through sports. If the problem still exists, then the next level is for you as a parent to contact a coach. This conversation obviously will be opinion based, but let's keep in mind it must be conducted respectfully and not an opportunity to attack each other verbally. If after talking with the coach and the parent is still unsatisfied, then I will meet with the parent, separate from the coach and the player initially, to be a listening ear. And then I will hear from the coach just so I can get both sides, and upon that I may render a solution. Now that we have established your role as a parent and how we communicate effectively throughout the program, we refer to our Code of Conduct Agreement to protect all stakeholders. Creating and implementing a parent Code of Conduct Agreement is not to belittle you as parents. Instead, it is created to clearly state to you as parents how our school district and athletic department intends to excel above everyone else. As a parent, you may play a much more valuable role in the overall development of your student athlete and his or her teammates. So what happens if we become unruly during a game or an event? Consequences could include a one-on-one meeting with myself and our school principal to try and avoid future issues. It could also result in our security escorting you out of a game and off school premises. Your actions could also result in a single or multiple game suspension. We could require you to complete a training program on sportsmanship that must be completed before your return. And then our last resort is your son or daughter's dismissal from the team for behavior detrimental to the program. With these consequences, understand that interscholastic athletics is a privilege, not a right, and that we as an educational institution are here to service our students, and this is a matter that we will not take lightly. Parents, let's be proactive, and here's how. As an athletic administrator, I will be sure to hire trained and qualified coaches who will best service our student athletes, and I will provide our coaches with as many opportunities available for continued educational development. I will do my best to request highly qualified officials to service our student athletes in a safe environment. We will continue to hold mandatory preseason meetings along with any necessary gatherings throughout the school year so that communication remains effective. We will continue with the implementation of a Code of Conduct Agreement, and as our athletic program continues to evolve into a more positive direction, I will then look to incorporate you all as parents in the discussion of parental behavior in interscholastic athletics. In terms of accountability, there are key points I wish for you to take with you. Ways to support your student athlete. Provide positive feedback. A way to do that will be helping them to handle victory with humility and defeat with dignity. Support your student athlete by encouraging them to get better each day by improving their skills in practices and games. Teach your student athlete the importance of sportsmanship and teamwork through the examples you set. You must hold realistic expectations for your student athlete, as not every student athlete that plays a sport will be given the opportunity to move beyond their current level. And make yourself more knowledgeable about the sport so that you are able to understand calls and decisions made by coaches and officials. Ways to remain positive. Children learn more by the example than criticism. Work to be a positive role model and reinforce positive behavior in others. You can do that by applaud good plays by others on your child's team, as well as good plays by the opposing team. And in the end, accept the result of each game. Don't be a sideline coach or ref by refraining from coaching or refereeing from the sidelines. Again, the coach should be the only sideline voice the player hears giving instruction. Officials are symbols of fair play, integrity, and sportsmanship. Do not openly question their judgment or honesty, whether you understand or like their call. And lastly, have fun. Keep in mind that your student athlete is the one playing a sport, not you. Children must learn to establish their own goals, to play the game for themselves. Let your student athlete experience the fun of playing as well as the challenge of excelling. Your student athlete does not need a sports agent. They need the love and support of their parents.